If you are not absolutely furious right now, you're not paying attention. Because what happened on February 23rd, 2026 wasn't just another episode of Raw. It wasn't just another qualifying match. It wasn't just another step toward WrestleMania season. It was a statement, a declaration, a warning shot to the entire locker room. Jey Uso didn't just qualify for the Elimination Chamber. He forced the entire landscape of WWE to acknowledge him. And if you think this was predictable, if you think this was easy, if you think this was handed to him, you haven't been watching closely enough. Let me ask you something right now before we go any further. Do you truly believe Jey Uso has finally stepped out of every shadow? Or is this just the beginning of something even bigger? Drop it in the comments. Because what we witnessed on Raw was not luck. It was evolution. The energy inside the arena was different from the opening bell. You could feel it. The camera panned across a crowd that knew something important was about to happen. The road to Elimination Chamber has been chaotic, unpredictable, and brutal. Spots are limited. Opportunities are rare. And every superstar on that roster knows that this is the fastest route to headline-level dominance. The qualifying match wasn't some throwaway mid-card filler. It was high stakes. It was pressure. It was career-defining. And Jey Uso walked into that match carrying more weight than anyone wants to admit. For years, he was labeled one thing: tag team specialist, right-hand man, enforcer, loyal soldier. But 2026? This isn't that Jey anymore. This is a man who has been clawing his way out of history. And his opponent? No pushover. When the bell rang, there was no feeling out process. No slow build. It was impact after impact. Strikes thrown like grudges. Counters executed like survival instincts. Every near fall had the crowd gasping, and every kick-out felt personal. You could see it in Jey's face. This wasn't about just qualifying. This was about validation. And let's talk about the psychology for a second. Because the story inside that ring was deeper than just moves and momentum swings. Every time Jey absorbed a heavy hit and popped back up, it screamed resilience. Every time he created space and slowed the pace, it showed ring IQ. And every time the crowd started chanting his name, that wasn't nostalgia. That was belief. Here's a quick one for you. What do you think matters more in a chamber match, endurance or strategy? Comment endurance or strategy and tell me why. Because Jey is going to need both. Midway through the match, the tide turned. A devastating counter. A momentum shift. The kind of sequence that makes you sit up and say, oh, this might actually be over. The opponent targeted Jey's ribs relentlessly. You could see him grimacing. You could see the air being knocked out of him. And that's when doubt creeps in. Doubt from the commentators. Doubt from the fans. Doubt from social media already typing, same old Jey. But here's what people underestimate. Pain is familiar territory for him. He's been in wars. Civil wars. Bloodline collapses. Championship heartbreaks. He doesn't break when things go wrong. He recalibrates. And that's exactly what happened. A perfectly timed superkick. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Precise. And the crowd erupted. That one moment shifted the entire atmosphere in the building. Momentum in wrestling isn't just physical. It's emotional. And when Jey climbed to the top rope, every single person watching knew what was coming. The splash. The impact. 1, 2, 3. And just like that, Jey Uso punched his ticket to the Elimination Chamber. But don't let the 3 count fool you. This wasn't the end of the story. It was the ignition point. Now, let's zoom out. Because qualifying is one thing. Surviving the chamber is another monster entirely. Steel pods. Chain walls. Unforgiving floors. And 5 other competitors who would happily shorten your career to extend theirs. We already know some of the names entering that structure. We're talking about former world champions. Ruthless tacticians. Unpredictable wild cards. If someone like Seth Rollins is in that chamber, and you know he's always lurking around big moments, that's a problem. Seth Rollins. If Drew McIntyre gets inside that structure, that's a war waiting to happen. Drew McIntyre. And if Sami Zayn sneaks his way into that match, strategy meets chaos. Sami Zayn. Think about that lineup for a second. Now imagine Jey Uso trapped in a pod, watching two of them tear each other apart before he even gets released. Here's another question for you. Would you rather enter the chamber first or last? There's no safe answer. Enter first, you risk lasting 30+ minutes. Enter last, you walk into a battlefield. So, where does Jey thrive? In chaos. He's always been at his best when the situation spirals out of control. And that's why this qualification matters more than people think. Let's talk about character progression. This version of Jey doesn't rely on backup. There's no faction shielding him. No family interference. No numbers advantage. That's growth. And whether you love him or doubt him, you cannot deny the transformation. Earlier in his career, people questioned whether he could carry a single spotlight. Now, he commands it. You saw it in his entrance. You heard it in the crowd reactions. You felt it in the pacing of the match. This wasn't filler. This was feature presentation. And what makes it even more intense? The timing. February 23rd. Right on the edge of WrestleMania season. Momentum now is everything. Let me ask you this. If Jey wins the chamber, does he become the face of Raw overnight? Or does he still have one more mountain to climb? Because winning that structure doesn't just earn you a title opportunity. It redefines your ceiling. There's something else we need to address. The doubters. The ones saying, he won because creative needed a surprise. The ones saying, he's not main event material. The ones already predicting his elimination inside the chamber. You know what fuels a performer like Jey? That noise. Criticism sharpens focus. And that superkick he landed to win the qualifier? That wasn't just a move. That was a message. To the locker room. To management. To the fans who never fully believed. Now let's break down the physical toll. An Elimination Chamber match is not like a normal contest. The steel chains don't flex. The pods don't forgive. The floor doesn't bounce. Every collision leaves a mark. So the big question becomes, can Jey's high-impact style survive that environment? His offense is explosive. Fast. Sudden. But inside the chamber, energy conservation becomes crucial. Blow yourself up too early, you're done. Hesitate too long, you're ambushed. There is no neutral ground. And if someone like Cody Rhodes is circling that opportunity, you know the stakes are generational. Cody Rhodes. Because whoever wins the chamber isn't just fighting for gold. They're fighting for legacy. Let's rewind to one subtle moment from the match on Raw that people might have missed. After the 3 count, Jey didn't immediately celebrate. He sat there for a split second, breathing heavy, eyes locked forward, almost processing it. That pause told a story. It wasn't relief. It was hunger. He knows qualifying is step 1. And step 2 is exponentially harder. So here's a rapid-fire round for the comments. Who is the most dangerous possible opponent for Jey inside the chamber? One name. No explanations. Just drop it. Because I guarantee you, that was the night everything changed. Now I want you to imagine something else. What if he doesn't win the chamber? What if he fights like a warrior, eliminates 2 competitors, and still falls short? Does that damage his rise? Or does it elevate him even more? Sometimes losing inside that structure can create more momentum than winning. It depends on the performance. And if there's one thing Jey has mastered recently, it's performance under pressure. We're entering the most unpredictable stretch of the wrestling calendar. Alliances shift. Tempers flare. Opportunities vanish in seconds. And inside that chaos stands a man who just punched his ticket with a superkick heard around the world. So I'll leave you with this final challenge. Don't sit on the fence. Don't give me a safe answer. Right now, today, after watching what happened on Raw, do you see Jey Uso as a future world champion? Yes or no? No maybes. No if booked correctly. Plant your flag in the comments. Because the chamber is coming. The steel is waiting. 5 other superstars are preparing. And one qualification match just shook the foundation of WWE. February 23rd wasn't just a highlight. It was a warning. And whether you're cheering him or doubting him, you're watching. And you're going to keep watching. because something big is brewing, and it might just explode inside the Elimination Chamber.